$131,000 vanished into thin air, spread across 121 deposits, $1,084 a month, for nearly a decade. All of it traced back to a Social Security death benefit. The recipient? Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett. The deceased? Her grandmother, Louise Crockett, who passed away in 2015. The discovery didn't come from a whistleblower or a midnight raid. It came from something far simpler: an audit. The Social Security Administration cross-matched benefit accounts with the National Death Registry, and suddenly the pattern lit up. The first red flag wasn't the money, it was the handwriting. Louise Crockett's yearly recertification forms carried a signature so perfect, it wasn't just similar, it was identical, digitally traced, same slant, same pressure. And the return address? A congressional campaign P.O. box in South Dallas. That's when Pam Bondi stepped in. Former Florida Attorney General, feared prosecutor, now the bulldog for the Financial Integrity Task Force. Bondi had a reputation for one thing: following the paper. And when her team followed it, they didn't find a clerical error. They found a scheme. Inside a packed Rayburn House hearing, cameras clicked like rainfall as Bondi revealed the evidence. Payment histories routing to a Chase account ending in 4732. Transfers sliding straight into a campaign fund, a certified death certificate, identical digital signatures. Each exhibit stacked like bricks in a wall of fraud. Then came the line that froze the room. Bondi leaned forward and said, "The money of the American people does not disappear into incompetence. It disappears into deliberate hands." For Crockett, a freshman congresswoman turned MSNBC darling, the optics couldn't be worse. She built her image on fiery sound bites and hashtags about transparency. But Bondi's trail painted another picture. Social Security checks redirected 3 months after her grandmother's funeral. IP addresses linking to Crockett's own campaign servers. A private Chase account doubling as a campaign piggy bank. The most damning piece? Texts from a fired staffer who kept the receipts. Encrypted signal messages from Crockett's burner phone casually referring to Granny's drip as the cushion to float campaign ads. By the time the committee broke for lunch, the hearing room was chaos. Reporters swarmed the halls. The cameras shifted to one detail no one could ignore: Jasmine Crockett's chair. Empty. Her nameplate sitting in silence. Crockett's office quickly pushed out a statement. The allegations were baseless, politically motivated, and racially charged. But in the hearing room, her absence told a louder story. No lawyers, no staff, not even a spokesperson. Pam Bondi wasn't fazed. She shifted to what she called the chain of knowledge exhibit, showing how the fraud slipped through every safety net. SSA missed the death record. IRS waved through transfers. FEC cleared audits because Crockett's team reclassified funds. This wasn't just fraud, it was system failure. As cameras flashed, Bondi delivered her parting shot. Congresswoman Crockett built her persona on outrage. But behind the fire, there's a trail of ash, and I intend to follow it to the end. The next morning, the temperature in the Rayburn building matched the tension. Crockett had no choice but to appear. A subpoena had been signed at dawn. She entered, flanked by 4 attorneys and a stone-faced PR handler. Crimson blazer, chin high, defiance's armor. Her opening words: "I am here under duress, under partisan attack, but I have done nothing wrong. I will answer truthfully. I will not be smeared by manufactured optics." The cameras ate it up. Hashtags exploded. But Bondi didn't blink. She handed a manila folder marked Exhibit D to the clerk. The monitors lit up. A voice memo. A waveform appeared. Then the voice, unmistakable. Jasmine Crockett. "I told you not to use the damn Chase account. That's tied to Louise. The IRS cross-checks those every time we file. Move the drip through the burner like we planned. If they sniff this out, we're done." "I'm done." The room froze. Even Crockett's lawyers looked stunned. Bondi let it play twice. Then, voice authentication, 97% match to Congresswoman Crockett. Recorded 3 days before the 2022 filing deadline. References to the drip, corroborated by prior exhibits. "Congresswoman, do you deny this is your voice?" Crockett leaned in, lips parted, before her lead counsel cut her off. "My client asserts her Fifth Amendment rights." The gasp was audible. "On record, the Fifth," Bondi signaled. A man entered, a jittery figure in a rumpled blazer. Marcus Helm, former campaign treasurer, recently subpoenaed. Miss Bondi, do I have to answer under oath? You're already under oath, Mr. Helm. Helm unfolded a paper. His voice cracked. In 2021, I was instructed to reclassify deposits from account 4732 as miscellaneous contributions. When I questioned it, Congresswoman Crockett told me, quote, "Don't worry, that's legacy family support. It's technically mine anyway." Bondi asked, "Did you ever meet Louise Crockett?" "No, ma'am." "Were you aware she'd been dead 6 years?" "Not until today," Bondi pressed. Helm admitted he'd warned the chief of staff, Sandra Phelps. She told him, "Stay in your lane." He'd kept the email. Exhibit E lit up on the screen. Metadata confirmed it was never deleted. Then came Exhibit F, a property deed, a condo in Austin, bought in 2023 through a Shell LLC, all cash. $348,000 traced directly to the same Chase account tied to Louise Crockett's benefits. Publicly, Crockett had claimed no real estate holdings, but GPS data showed her staff visiting 19 times. Footage from Valentine's Day showed Crockett herself arriving with a suitcase. When Bondi asked if this was the bunker where devices or documents tied to the fraud were stored, Crockett invoked the fifth again. The silence hit harder than any answer. The hearing shifted that day. What began as a fraud inquiry had morphed into something darker. Benefit abuse, campaign violations, money laundering, even perjury. Pam Bondi didn't call it guilt. She didn't have to. The evidence spoke brick by brick, and Jasmine Crockett sat frozen beneath the spotlight. Chairman Kellner announced a new witness. Enter Sierra Langston, Crockett's former field director, escorted by U.S. Marshals. Nervous but clear, Langston testified she'd been told to funnel cash reimbursements through what staff called Granny's gift box. Only later did she realize it meant Louise Crockett's Social Security benefits. She admitted she had kept deposit slips, ledgers, and a note labeled funnel tree, documents linking initials, dollar amounts, and coded phrases like tripwire and media rinse. Bondi unveiled them as Exhibit G. Langston confirmed she was told to shred the notes in 2023. She didn't. Next came the phone data. Bondi showed tower pings tying Crockett's staff, and Crockett herself, to the Austin condo during key cash transfers. Coincidence? Bondi called it logistics, a witness tree pointing one direction. By recess, Crockett hadn't spoken a word. Her lawyers whispered, staff deleted tweets, and even her official house bio briefly vanished before reappearing. The firewall was cracking. When the session resumed, Bondi dropped another bomb. A deed for a 1-acre property tied to a trust benefiting JC. The money came from the Chase account. The notary was Crockett's own social media manager. For the first time, Crockett buried her face in her hands. The headlines wrote themselves. What had started as scandal was now a stress test for institutional integrity. And as day 4 began, Bondi calmly produced one more file. Redacted Google logs showing Crockett's congressional email, auto-forwarding sensitive terms, Chase, Ebridge, Phelps, to a secret Proton Mail account. Linked devices traced to a locked cabinet in a Dallas community center run by Reverend Curtis Alustin, one of Crockett's closest allies. Security footage recovered from his gala showed Crockett handing him a white envelope. Hours later, an intern left with the same iPad, later seized under warrant. Bondi tied the gala date to a $93,300 cash withdrawal from the Chase account. The silence in the chamber said it all. This was no longer just Jasmine Crockett's scandal. It was metastasizing into something that could swallow everyone around her. Pam Bondi clarified that Reverend Alustin wasn't accused of fraud, but he had been used, whether he knew it or not, as a firewall for encrypted transfers. Then came the bombshell. The seized iPad contained a folder called Legacy Ledger. Inside, 10 years of Chase withdrawals, coded routes, notes like Q3 push and statement flush, and even a tab marked burn after reading. Color-coded entries lined up with campaign deadlines. Bondi made it plain. This wasn't inheritance, it was laundering. The chamber froze when Chairman Kellner passed Bondi a note. Former Chief of Staff Sandra Phelps had flipped. In a sworn affidavit, she admitted Crockett ordered her to cycle money from the Louise E. Crockett account into campaign cash flow. Phelps wrote she knew it wasn't legal, but threats kept her silent. Within hours, Crockett's digital presence was unraveling. Staffers shredded documents. Her office posted and deleted a tweet blaming white supremacy. Party leadership distanced themselves. Her firewall was gone. Day 5 began with no ceremony. Crockett shuffled in late, hair unkempt, suit wrinkled, eyes swollen. The defiance was gone. Then Bondi played a recording from April 2024. Crockett's own voice filled the chamber. "They're going to audit us. We can't keep the Phelps route open. Use Cousins, use anything. Just keep the money moving." The clip ended in silence. Bondi confirmed a sham donation had been traced to a San Marcos LLC that dissolved days later. Illegal structuring. And then, the collapse hit warp speed. Crockett's press secretary quit live on X. 2 senior staffers walked out on camera. By midday, Bondi filed a criminal referral to the DOJ. Wire fraud, theft, campaign finance fraud, witness tampering, obstruction. A joint referral followed, signed by the SSA Inspector General, FEC Counsel, and DOJ Special Counsel. Capitol Police quietly entered the chamber. By early afternoon, Crockett was escorted out by her lawyers. Her office sealed under federal warrant. The news cycle detonated. The DNC scrubbed her photo from its site. The House Democratic Caucus issued a statement calling the case deeply troubling. By 3 p.m., her re-election website had vanished. The fall was complete. Jasmine Crockett's empire hadn't just cracked, it had imploded in real time. Pam Bondi declined interviews. No victory lap, no cameras. She carried a cardboard box of exhibits to her office, shut the door, and reviewed the last file. A May 2025 bank statement. One deposit, $1,184. The final Social Security check to the Louise E. Crockett account. 10 years, 121 payments. A decade of fraud, now ending not with fireworks, but silence. The chamber was stripped bare of spectacle. No banners, no chants. Just the hum of air conditioning and the scratch of pens. At 9:05 a.m., DOJ Special Counsel Michael Denton opened a sealed envelope. His words cut through the stillness. A federal grand jury has voted to indict Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett on 6 felony counts: fraud against the United States, theft of government benefits, campaign finance violations, money laundering, obstruction of justice, and conspiracy to defraud a federal agency. No applause, no outrage, just the sound of history catching up. Pam Bondi rose for the last time. She submitted Exhibit L, Sandra Phelps's signed confession. On screen, one sentence appeared. "I called it theft, but I did it anyway." Then Bondi spoke. Congresswoman Crockett's office became an engine of fraud, masked by identity politics, fueled by hubris, and shielded by public trust. This committee didn't expose corruption. It simply turned on the light. The rot was already there. Public service is not a mask for private enrichment. At 10:12 a.m., the Sergeant-at-Arms delivered a sealed document, Crockett's resignation. She wasn't in the room. Her lawyers had struck a deal the night before. Restitution of $131,800, cooperation, and a plea. She would avoid pretrial detention, but she would not avoid disgrace. Aftermath came fast. The Austin condo seized. The Chase account closed. SSA fired 3 staffers. Congress passed a new transparency law. By year's end, Crockett resurfaced on a podcast, blaming burnout, hinting at a memoir. Pam Bondi never spoke publicly again. Her leaked final memo to the committee was a single sentence: "Fraud flourishes in silence. We spoke.